What is up? And welcome to my clip on how to align sample drums with natural drums, or at least the way I would like it to happen. Essentially, what's going on, if I explain what I have here, I have 4 tracks. So 2 are sample tracks, 2 are kick and snare committed tracks from my mixing session. And essentially what these are my my kick bus and my snare bus while I'm mixing. So my drum mics will be in here and they got EQ and compression, whatever other processing I like to use. And I like to exhaust these tracks, like the natural drum tracks, while I'm mixing, and then I'll reach for samples. So essentially what's happened was I took my kick bus and I duplicated it and put Slate Trigger as a plugin. And I found a good blend of kick samples that I thought blended with the drum set nicely. And then I printed them. Now, it'll help to know that the kick track, I think I've gotten maybe a quarter through the song already. Like maybe I think I stopped somewhere in the double bass section. So, you probably don't have to worry about moving around any of the kick hits until then. Snare is completely untouched. So what happens directly after printing these sample tracks is I make sure that they're somewhat close in volume. And I cut off the front and I set my nudge to minutes and seconds for 1 millisecond. And on the keyboard, comma nudges left, period nudges right. And what I'm doing is I'm nudging this whole track around until most of these hits sound like they're in phase or at least have a lot of body to them, meaning they are reasonably aligned. And you couldn't see, but I was nudging around and I was just listening. And when I nudged it forward, a lot of the hits got thinner and got canceled out. When I put it back to normal, it sounded fuller for the most part. And then when I pushed it back, it got out of phase and some of the hits were getting canceled out. So essentially, what I'm looking for is things like this. So on the very beginning, we have flam tracks. But if you look here, there's a misfire, and there's only 1 hit when there should be 2, because that's what flams are. They're 2 hits together. So watch out for those and fix those, and I'll show you how to fix those. And I'm also looking for any misfires. So I think it might be this hit right here. Now, if you listen, these 2 hits are really thin, the first 2, and then the last 2 are really thick. And that's what I want you to look out for. I want you to look out for any low end drops, because that's what's happening is the phase cancellation is causing the low end to go away, which is not good. So essentially what I would do, and this is for every hit that sounds really weak, I select it, I hit B to splice, and then I hit period to nudge backwards or forwards depending on how off it is. And I nudge it back until it sounds like it's the most in phase or has the most low end. So probably about right there for me, and it doesn't have to line up with the first transient or anything like that. All it needs is just to be able to line up like as far as just sounding like it has a bunch of low end. So here's the original. And then here's after it was edited. A lot more low end, a lot more pop. And by this time I would just beat detective this. So if I hit Command 8, select it, the outer edges of the edit, and then hit smooth. smooths it out. And, I do this for every hit that sounds like it's off. So that one sounded like it was off, like I'd pointed out earlier. So I would fix this one. So now let's beat detective that. Now, I'm not looking for every hit to be perfect, but I am looking for it to be as good as it can be, because, not every one of these hits on the natural acoustic drums is a good hit. So some hits are going to have a lot of energy and a lot of bottom. Some hits are going to sound a lot more thinner even after you correct it, just because it's a bad hit, like I had said. So just try your best to align them as much as you possibly can. Now, backtracking to this flam hit right there. That's only one. Essentially what I would do, I would just, splice this hit and then drag it over and line it up with this hit by nudging it around till it sounds thicker. Probably about right there. And then, again, I would beat detective that. See, there's a single hit right there. So, just watch out for the flams and listen for when the hits drop out and low end and correct them as much as you possibly can towards the end. And if there's any questionable spots, I'll see what I can do about it. And if there's nothing I can do about it, then, that's just how it's going to have to live in the track. So don't worry if there's any bad things that are just beyond your help. Moving on to the kick drum. Now it helps to know that I think I might have worked this track up until this double bass part right here. So I don't think you have to worry about much for the first, minute and 20 or something. But, use your ears and figure out the exact spot where it stops. But kick is a lot of the same kind of deal going on. So let me find a spot here. I think I marked it down, yeah. Okay, so let's listen to an out of phase hit, and then let's listen to an in phase hit. So this one is out of phase because it's delayed. Here's this one. Notice how this one just has a lot more body, especially in the lower mids. And I'm going to go ahead and nudge this forward till it sounds in phase. So right about there. And, you could hear as I was nudging it to the left where a lot of that low end started to come back in. So most of these single hit areas are good, but when you hit these double hits right here, those ones sound fine to me. Most of those single hits are fine, but once you hit the double bass parts, it's going to sound really fucked up. And usually what happens is, the first hits are fine, but the hits right after that go off. So it's like it's a right hit and a left hit kind of thing going on with the feet. So here's the right hit, here's the left hit. And you'll notice the pattern, and it'll help you out, when it comes to phase aligning this stuff. So this hit right here, notice how far back off that is. So yeah, just things to watch out for. Hope that helped clarify some stuff. And let me know if there's any other questions.